first question I have is, how do you see the merger shaping the future roadmap for CUDOS, particularly beyond Intercloud? Obviously, given the vote goes through as a yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yes. So firstly, the vote is a open vote. Anyone can vote. This is owned by the community at the end of the day, and we'll take that decision of the vote. For the roadmap, so it's probably worth explaining that the proposal is that it's a token merger, not that CUDOS is losing its name or its brand, or what we aim for. Our goal is still to be the largest democratized compute network and sustainable compute network that is out there. And our focus is really still on powering AI infrastructure. I mean, if you go back a couple of years, that's changed. The consumption of compute has changed quite a lot. And the majority, by a long way now, of the majority of compute that is accelerating is powering AI. So it means that the focus has been how do we accelerate the adoption of computing for AI? I guess from a market perspective, we expect to quadruple the amount of power in data centers to power AI by the end of this decade. It's an acceleration we haven't seen since the start of the internet. So for us, it's CUDOS is that a sustainable compute network, but primarily around powering AI and AI applications. And we'll chat about it in a bit, but I think AI is going to become more and more part of every single blockchain application and solution that's out there over the coming years. And we're literally just at the start of it. And if you think this acceleration kind of started 2 years ago, roughly, with ChatGPT, but because now all these models are out there, and everybody is continuing to build those models and they're making them open source, it means more and more applications are all driving towards being integrated with AI in one form or another. So it hasn't at all changed our goals of what we are building. It's added what we can build and what we can integrate into. So our goals, for at the moment, obviously it's a compute network where you can scale and compute, use compute for virtual machines and scale out on there. But if somebody's doing training, you can't do training very well, or certainly not at scale. You wouldn't do it in containers. At scale, you wouldn't do it in virtual machines. You're doing bare metal because you need the absolute highest performance. If you think about the power and the network connectivity between two machines that are needed that are doing training, they run at 3.2 terabits. It's huge amounts. That's 3,200 gigabytes. It's huge amounts of compute, and you can't really do those efficiently. Definitely can't do it in containers efficiently. You can't do it in virtual machines particularly efficiently. So we've got bare metal support coming out, which is one of the first major roadmap releases that we've got. It's already in testing at the moment, and that's going to come out, should be next month or so. It should be on the platform. And then also what we have been focusing on is how do we get additional scale? Because we've got access to huge amounts at the moment of compute resources on the network, but we have a really big pipeline of large clients that we've been working towards and bringing onto the network that are kind of going through that process at the moment, and they need more and more computing than we already have on the network. So what we have been integrating is the ability to scale on lots of other providers' networks automatically, and that is in testing at the moment. And Joanne's on this call, so he's involved on that side as well. So that will be focused on kind of over the next month or so, is adding that ability and adding that additional capacity on the network. So it's about really bringing on much more supply and being able to do much higher performance supply. So the scaling out of compute will be used for inference typically, and the high performance bare metal is used for training. So it really enables us to focus on these AI customers, and we've got some really big numbers of GPUs that are being sold that require these additional features that we'll be probably announcing this month, end of this month, next month. But it's all around AI. Everything is around AI, which is why this kind of partnership and the merger has been so important. We also, one of the things that I think is going to be a substantial change over 12 months or so is how you build smart contracts. So at the moment, you have to write your smart contracts, whether it's in Solidity or Cosmwasm or whatever you're building on. What I think is going to be a big revolutionary change is that you can just essentially write your prompt. You can ask the AI, which is called a prompt. You can write what you want it to do, and that's going to be your application. So this will be, you can explain, and on your phone you can even just talk it, and it will convert it into a prompt. But you'll be able to write that out, what you want it to do, and then by accessing compute resources, which essentially are AI resources on a network, that those instructions can be found out, and that's going to be your application. So you're not going to have to code anymore. You'll have to code the framework to be able to put this in place, which is one of the things that we'll be working on with ASI, is to do that. And that really, is going to be a huge revolutionary change in the way computing is done today. And it's kind of getting there. We're probably about 80% the way there, I would say, at the moment. If you look at how AI can code, it's not quite there. But I would say by the end of next year, we'll be at that place where those applications, you can just say what you want, and those applications are going to exist, especially if you have just a full stack AI and compute network. So we'll be working on that. And one of those important bits is we've had a few partnerships, which I think we will talk about later. But, for example, secret network, where that means using confidential computing, you can keep those prompts confidential, and you can farm out those computing resources into the network to do the work that's needed, and send back whatever those results are going to be. And then with storage, that enables us to provide scale out storage. So what we are launching, again, it's going to be by next month, is S3 storage. So S3 storage is the standard for large long-term archival storage, and we will then support that on the network, which means at the moment, when someone's doing computing, they're generally doing that computing on those specific devices, on those specific servers. But with the scale out storage, that means when you do large AI workloads, you need to store a lot of data, and you need to store the data that you're working on, but you need to keep copies of what you've been doing while you've been doing it. And if something goes wrong, you need to be able to roll back to what you've built. And that is called checkpointing in AI. But you need huge scale-up storage to that. So we will support that from next month. So it's about supporting AI applications. Whether we merged or not, this is the way that we were going, is to support those types of clients, because really that's where all the compute demand is.
Yeah, no, I think it's important to, reaffirm that we're not passing on the torch. We're, adding more fuel to the flame. So the next question I have is, what should holders who have CUDOS tokens on centralized exchanges expect, given the vote goes through as a yes? Are their tokens going to go through automatically and convert? What would that process look like? Is that determined yet?
Yeah, there's two steps depending on which exchange you're on, and I think we'll publish which exchanges are which, just to make it clearer for everybody. But there's two scenarios. One is if the exchange fully supports the native token, then they will be able to support the automatic swap of CUDOS to Fetch. So you won't actually have to do anything. It'll just change in your wallet on the account on the exchange. If they don't support that, or they only support ERC20, then you'll be able to withdraw at any point the tokens from the exchange, and then you'll be able to swap them via the smart contract, which is going to be public. So that means you just have to do a manual process yourself. You'll still be able to withdraw, even if the token isn't on the exchange or tradable. But you'll be able to draw it and then just swap it straight to Fetch, and then you could transfer it back to the exchange, or whatever you want to do on there. But that's going to be a smart contract that's being made public, being provided through the Singularity DAO platform.
Perfect. Yeah, and we'll publish something in the future for anyone who wants more info on that. The next question I have is,
just,
could,
I'm just going to add on that quickly, is that
oh yeah,
those smart contracts are going to stay public as well. So Kudos is going to continue to operate. So people may have vesting schedules, or they may have tokens locked up for longer periods. So the chain will continue to exist where you can still take actions on the token. And then the smart contract is going to be left open indefinitely, so no one is left out.
Yeah, no, that's definitely good to mention. So for the merger, what sort of led up to this decision to do the merger? I know it's been in the works for quite a long time, but what was sort of the rationale behind the original pursuit of the token merger?
So where we kind of see the market, maybe if I go over from a technology perspective, it's what makes I'd say any of the blockchains, or one of the key aspects that makes the blockchain successful, is its utility and its utilization. And that's two of the key areas. We've built some amazing tech. I think we've got one of the best utility platforms out there, certainly from a compute perspective. In my view, the best platform out there that can be used for any type of compute. It's about getting that out to the wider community. We want to get more people building on that network. We want more people running on the technology. We want more developers integrated into it. And we wanted to get a louder voice in the blockchain space so that we can get greater adoption, because we've kind of got to the point that we've built really good technology that you can scale on, you can build your applications on, especially over the next couple of months. But getting that voice out there, was a challenge in getting enough people's awareness on it. So what the merger does, one of the areas that it does, is it gives us access to a much bigger community, over 200,000 additional in the community. At least a day or so ago, it was the 24th largest token that was out there. And that gives us a much bigger voice and a lot more developers that can build on the chain. And that's really, what we want to get is utilization. Our goals do not change one single bit, is that we want to continue and will scale even faster if this merger happens, on being the largest distributed compute network that's out there. This gives us the additional resources. We've got a much bigger marketing team. We've got a bigger developer team that we can work with. We can build these applications faster. We can build the features faster. And we can accelerate what we've built faster as well. So it gave us a bigger voice, but also it would give us additional resources internally and externally. One of the other areas is, we have some big projects coming on, but for them to be able to buy compute resources in the network, or also for some of the suppliers that we're now bringing on as well, we needed more liquidity of the token, because there wasn't enough liquidity on our token to do those sort of deals on the network, which means it wouldn't have been in our native token, which kind of defies part of the point of, the reasons we wanted the token. So we needed to have more liquidity of the token to be able to bring on these bigger customers and bigger suppliers. So this merger enables us to do that, because obviously there's significantly more liquidity, as there's about 100 times the liquidity on the ASI network than there is on our token. And we're also working with Singularity and Fetch to become compute suppliers into the network. So Fetch is deploying compute, which is going to be running on the CUDOS software and technology and blockchain. And same with Singularity. Singularity have announced that they've bought this hardware, and we're working with them. And what they're not using internally is also going to be using our platform. So it brings big suppliers, additional suppliers onto the network. And then also they have large AI clients that they work with that they would then want to use to deploy using our tech stack. So again, it brings greater supply into the market, and it brings greater demand onto the platform. So it's certainly not, it's not us letting go or us selling on. It's the opposite. We saw this as a way of, we can get out to more developers, we can get out to more people, we can get out to more suppliers, we can get out to more buyers, it brings additional resource internally and externally into the project, and really kind of guarantees that ability to accelerate much faster. Or it's the guarantee bit that we thought was the valuable bit, is that this gets us there quicker, gets us to build and scale much faster than it would have if we just stayed as kind of a single entity. But our brand isn't going to change. It stays as Kudos. The teams don't change. We stay as we are, but we've got more people, more resource to get there faster.
Yeah, absolutely. So diving into some more of the meaty questions from the community. The next one I have is, how was the valuation of Kudos determined for the merge, and what considerations were made in this valuation to ensure that it accurately reflects the value and strengths of Kudos?
Yeah, so the way it was valued in the end was that we took the prior 30 days of the token value on both sides. So we just took the average of the 30 days. And if you look kind of where the market is, if we went down, ASI went down. If we went up, ASI went up. That's just the market in general. It's not that they were tied. So that seemed that was the fair way that was discussed from that perspective. I understand people's comments where they're saying that we, as a smaller project and a smaller market cap, we got the ability to scale faster. But what this did is it kind of, bringing those two together, it guarantees that ability to scale quicker. It guarantees the ability to scale. And the way we calculated it was, based on those first 30 days. If you take the price today of what the market cap is of ASI at the moment versus our market cap, the Kudos token is actually at about a 40% discount of the price that we see at the moment. So that means it's essentially undervalued even with this merger. We have that there's a lot of predictions out there already, about the growth of ASI, and there is upside on the merger exchange rate at the moment as well. So there's still great opportunity, for people to stay involved. And we're not going to forget the OG people that have been here since the start, that have supported us. I think we'll cover that in a few questions, on what we're doing or what we want to do later on for that. But it's there was a lot of time and a lot of consideration on how can we do this, because there's always two sides to it. There's our side and there's the ASI side. So that we had to find something that was equal for both sides.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And speaking of the valuation, could you elaborate a little bit on why going with a merge makes more sense than, for example, like a partnership or, us offering our services directly? This was a pretty frequent question that we got, where people are saying, well, why does the merge even need to happen? We could do a partnership, or we could just, sell them our services directly. What's the benefit of the merge versus those other options?
Yeah, and I totally get why people are asking that question. So the merge would give us a significantly greater collaboration than if this was just a partnership. From a merge perspective, we become the compute network for the largest AI blockchain out there. It becomes one single technology stack that is one single token. You can build in one single language or application. The integrations that we're doing will make that seamless. It means that we, by default, become that provider for everything else that they're doing, for Singularity compute, for Fetch compute. It means that Kudos platform and network is the compute network for everything, because AI doesn't exist without compute, and AI is the biggest consumer of compute. So, we both kind of, AI needs compute and the other way around. And talking this through where the market's going, we could both accelerate adoption much faster. But partnership would give you a small percentage of what we can do as a real integration. If we do this as a real integration, where I've talked about you just build smart contracts by prompting it, things like that, but then people could still deploy on AWS or still be deploying on these other platforms, and it kind of defies the point. And that is what's happening at the moment. If you look at on Fetch, for example, you can build your application, but then people use an AWS, and it's like, what's the point in doing it decentralized in the first place? You need a whole decentralized stack, and this enabled us to do it on both sides of the platform. So it's not just the merger right now, it's what's happening over the next 12, 18 months, 24, 36 months is, AI is going to revolutionize absolutely everything we do in every part of our lives. To a great effect, or as good a greater effect as we did when the internet came out. And, together we have the entire tech stack that no one can compete with. So that's the reason that we decided, rather than just working together, actually, the sum of the parts are, well, we're greater together than the sum of the parts.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, such a great community that we're, being brought into, and we're bringing our community, and just a great tech stack as well. So to clarify for people who are wondering, what the 5% fee in the conversion from CUDOS to FET, like what is that for? What is the reasoning behind the like the 5% fee? Because people are wondering, well, why aren't they getting like a 5% discount instead? Why is the fee going to ASI? If you want to just sort of explain the rationale behind that.
Yeah. Okay. So the fee is for ASI. It's not our fee. The fee is for ASI, and this is being used for resources to accelerate adoption. So it's not that that is just a fee. We're going to focus on marketing, or ASI is going to focus on marketing, on collaboration, on adoption. It's the resources from that are going towards increasing adoption and increasing value in the chain, and accelerating. The goal is to be much higher than 24 in the top market cap, and part of that is accelerating on that side. I think if you look from where it actually is today, you're, rather than there being kind of a 5% discount for CUDOS holders, there's essentially an increase in CUDOS holders because of the current exchange rate. So it's not a negative thing. It might seem it if you just look at that single line item, but actually, it's the other way around at the moment on the current exchange rate. So together, we're both going to bring value into the chain, which significantly outweighs any cost differences here at the moment.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I mean, with the current exchange rate, it's definitely very a lot more favorable than when it was originally proposed as well for CUDOS holders. So some people are expressing some concern over the exchange ratio. Is there any room for adjustments or future discussions, or, for example, if the vote were to go through as like a no, if there was like a renegotiation on the table, or what does that look like?
I mean, if there is a yes, then this is fixed and it won't change. Now, what the worst thing would be is that we tell everybody there's a rate, and then the rate changes, and we haven't been truthful from the start. So that is a fixed rate, no matter what. If it's going ahead, that's what's been agreed. And that also, if it could change, people can front run, for example. So it's a rate that we have agreed. If the vote doesn't go ahead, then there's all sorts of other conversations that need to be had rather than just the exchange rate. So but the way it is, if it's going ahead, then yeah, that rate is fixed and agreed.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. In terms of, preserving the autonomy of Kudos, which obviously you pointed out at the beginning, we're not, handing over the torch or anything like that. We're still doing our own thing, and we're still building, and we're just, getting stronger. What are some ways that we're preserving our autonomy, and what is that sort of going to look like over the next year? You know, Again, obviously we're not, it's only a token merge, not like a company merge, but just to sort of, lay that out a little bit for the community.
Yeah. Okay. So nothing actually changes on that side. We still run as Kudos from that perspective. Singularity is still Singularity. Fetch is still Fetch. UNet, is one of the subsidiary or partner projects is still UNet. Everyone remains and keeps their identity. Everyone can keep believing and working towards goals that they were set up to start with. So Singularity is also about providing access to democratized AI resources to equal the playing, so that everybody has access to education and ability to democratize in the way that we do, the ability to democratize compute, they're doing the ability to democratize AI. So it's our goals are very, very aligned in what we were trying to do. We were just doing it on different planes. So we will continue to keep all of the roadmap and all of the goals that we were working towards beforehand. We will still be Kudos. It will still be the moderators and the community, and nothing changes there. The only thing that is technically happening really is the merging of the two tokens, which is what enables us to accelerate and integrate in everything that we've been talking about. So the autonomy remains the same. The difference is going to be, we will now be working on additional integrations which enable us to do full stack AI and compute on the platform, but everything else carries on as it was.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. And you mentioned before, we're not forgetting about our, OG loyal supporters over the years. So for those who have been long-term supporters, what measures are sort of in place to protect their investment and ensure that they're going to continue seeing value from the original investment that they made? I know there's some concerns that, because we're going from a smaller market cap to a larger market cap, that people are missing out on potential gains. However, obviously, we have a vision for where ASI and where that is going to go. So if you want to just sort of explain that to the community.
Yeah, so we're certainly not going to forget, the OGs and everybody that supported us to date. What we are working on is some applications and services that are going to benefit the Kudos token holders. It will be Q4 that we announce those, but it will mean that that this exchange, if it's happening, is that essentially at today's price, obviously be a discount. It depends when people came in, but from a growth perspective, ASI is expected to have significant growth as well. Together, should bring even more value to the chain, and becoming one chain, one platform, and accelerating on that. So we will announce some of the things that we're working on, but it have to be in Q4 that we announce, because we've been focused on, if the merger is happening, we've been focused on the integration, making sure that goes as planned, and then we'll announce the things that we're bringing in for the benefit of people that have been long token holders for us. So we're definitely not forgetting everybody that's here. We appreciate everybody so much that has supported us so far. We're going to work tirelessly, whether this merger happens or not. We'll work tirelessly, to keep going towards the goal of where we were trying to get to keep working on utility and growth and the goal. And nothing's changed from that perspective. It's just the token merger. Everything else remains the same.
Yeah, no, that makes total sense. For people who might miss the initial swap window, like for Ethereum, for example, what options do they have? Are there deadlines or penalties or anything like that they should be aware of? What is that process going to look like?
So there are two mergers that are happening, or two ways that you can kind of swap a token as well, if you think like that. One of them is where we put public a smart contract, and that's where people can put their tokens in and swap for Fetch. That'll be the first one that goes live. If the vote goes ahead and completes, that will be live very soon after. And then the second one, which will be next month, would be where the two chains are merged together. And that means that if you hold the native tokens, then that's an automatic swap. So you don't have to do anything. They will automatically merge together. And with the validators, then validators are also setting up on Fetch, and that will become, or ASI, and then that will become automatic as well. So you won't have to do anything in that second scenario. In the first scenario, those are going to be kept open. So we're going to keep the ability to use the CUDOS token. From a blockchain perspective, that will still be there. So you can still transfer that token, but it won't be on the exchanges. It'll be Fetch instead that's on the exchanges, and then that will remain open indefinitely. So there's not a cutoff from that perspective, but that'll be if it's ERC20.
Right. Yeah. No, that makes sense. So what are some of the challenges that you foresee happening, given the vote is a majority yes and the merge goes through? Are there some, big challenges that you expect in the actual execution of the merge? And is there anything that we're doing to prepare for those challenges or risks?
Yeah. So, ASI did a single merge beforehand as the collaboration between Singularity, Ocean, and Fetch, and they learned a lot doing that the first time. What was missing from their platform is still having the compute element, because as I mentioned, AI does not work without compute. So with this, there's been a lot of learning that has already happened from the first time, not just technically, but also from keeping the community updated, informing everybody what's happening. So we've been working really closely with them. There's probably it's between 30 to 40 people working on this, I would say. So that there is a lot across communities, marketing, technical development, integration, smart contracts, merging. It's across the board. There's a lot of work being done to make sure that is successful and to minimize any risks. So it's being done it would be done in stages. Obviously, there'll be a test net, and test nets are going to be done. Smart contracts are audited. We're doing our best to update everybody on both sides of everything that's happening, both pre-voting, during voting, post-voting. So we hope that we've got everything covered and we've covered all the major risks. I would say not that it's a risk, but the biggest work after would be integrating the technology, so that the reason that we merged to start with is so that we can accelerate adoption of compute and AI. So it will be the hard work of integrating those two platforms together to kind of be that seamless platform for everybody.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. For people who want to still be engaged with the CUDOS ecosystem, post merger, assuming it goes through, what options are available for them to stay to actually invest in CUDOS, or still be part of that ecosystem, so to speak?
Yeah, so nothing's changing there. We are still kudos. I think the important thing. It's just we are then, partnered and very closely aligned naturally with ASI. We become part of the ASI Alliance. Uh, ASI have got an amazing community, and they're really passionate about AI and adoption in the same spaces and democratization in the same way that we are. And we'll be collaboration on both sides, but everything that we do today, as in, for are in Telegram and Discord and Twitter and the community is it's not changing. It still all remains kudos. So carry on as you were before. Give us your feedback. But the difference is we're going to have more resource. We've got more community resource. We'll have more marketing resource. We'll have more development resource. We can build things quicker. We'd like to get more feedback on where you want this roadmap to go as well, because now that we can do, if the merger happens, we can then do a lot more, a lot faster. And that's one of the things that, I think has probably slowed us down, is that we didn't have enough internal resource to build what we wanted to as quickly as we wanted to, even though we've done really well on what's been achieved. We could be doing it so much faster. And that's what I'd love to get feedback on the community is what do people think we should be building next? Who should we be integrating with? We've recently done partnerships with Storage and Secret Network, and that it's all these things that are going to scale adoption in this space. And now that you've got access to a compute network, we can do that whole stack. Do people want us to focus on enabling you to do prompt AI first? I think that's going to be incredible. But we want feedback from the community. We've heard, and I've heard everyone's concerns around this, and the idea of today is to give everybody more information on why these decisions were made. It wasn't made lightly. We really spent a long time looking at the pros and the cons, just looking at where we were in the market and how can we get to where we're trying to get to quicker. And but we want everyone's feedback, and I appreciate everyone's concerns on here, and that's why we want you as a community feeding back to us as well. So yeah, just keep feeding back to us.
Yeah. And speaking of partnerships, this leads in pretty well to the next question I have, which is, will this impact anything that we already currently have in terms of partnerships or business relationships? Or, is everything just continuing on as is?
It's continuing on and it's accelerating. So I'm not aware of any negative effect on any partnerships that we've done. I cannot think of any. But it enables us to do a whole load more partnerships because we've now got additional resource to do that. And the partners of Fetch, the partners of Singularity as well, we can work with them. So I think it's just given us more partnerships and relationships that we can do that we could do beforehand.
Yeah, absolutely. And gaining access to, the full ecosystem of ASI, which is also fantastic.
Yeah.
So how do you envision the sort of like the marketing or the messaging or positioning of Kudos evolving after, given the merge goes through? Does anything sort of change on the Kudos side, or again, is it just sort of business as usual?
It's kind of business as usual, but we probably put more emphasis on, we are the compute network for AI. I mean, when we started, and it's probably the same with any of the chains that started back in kind of 2017 or 18, the early times when they kind of started, at least the ideation of it, is we didn't expect AI to be such a large consumer of the proportion of compute that's out there. Whereas now that is definitely the case, and it's not going anywhere apart from up. So it's just going to be more focus on what we do is going to consume AI, provide access to AI, enable scaling of AI, and we've got providers. We've got some great features coming out on the tech stack where it enables providers to run and manage their own AI clusters using our tech stack, and then those spare resources are available into it. So it's just, I think that's probably the bit that's probably going to change, is just more focus around how we are powering AI and enabling AI. It's what's been happening anyway. And that's definitely over the last 12, 24 months, the way it's been going. But we probably haven't changed that brand or publicly shown it as much as we could have.
Right. Yeah, no, for sure. And then before we get to the community questions, do you want to just sort of remind people of, where they can go to vote and how they can vote and what that process sort of looks like?
Yeah, so we'll be releasing the guide next week for everybody on the voting. But essentially, you'll be able to go to the dashboard that we've got, the CUDOS dashboard already. Or if you know how to or got access to it, you'll be able to do it on the CLI and do the vote on there. So it's the same way that you've done your previous votes beforehand. But we'll send out the information again just for those that might not have voted before or where.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, so everyone do stay tuned to get that guide, as well as we recently shared yesterday an FAQ that covers a lot of the questions you might have. So definitely take a look at that as well. Now we'll do 10 minutes or so of community questions. We've gathered some of them from the chat that you guys have left in the chat, and do feel free to send some more in while we're going through these. But the first one, related to the vote, will the CUDOS team be taking part in the vote, or is this left, solely to the community? Who can participate in the vote? What will that look like?
Okay, yeah. The vote is open to everybody to be able to vote there, and it's up to CUDOS team independently if they want to vote yes or no. It's some of the team may have different opinions on it as well. So it is literally an open vote for everybody.
Yeah, no, that's good. That's good. The next question we have is, are exchanges charging a 5% fee for converting coins, or the 5% fee is purely for ASI to do marketing and things that you mentioned previously?
Yeah, it's the latter. So there's no exchange rate fee from that perspective. It's just going to it's going to be used positively in increasing adoption.
Right. The next question we have is, why are we rushing into a merge, so to speak? Why is there a small time frame to do the vote and the merge? What is the sort of timeliness of this?
Yeah, so it may appear like it's Russian, but actually we spent a lot of time talking around this, and it's been very very well planned and over a long time as well. So we took a lot of consideration of whether this was the right choice or not. As we're talking about today, going through all the pros and cons. As far as everything that we could see, there's such significant upside of doing this, and it gets us to the goals of where we were trying to get to, and kind of guarantees of getting to the goals of where we were trying to get to. So obviously in the crypto space, if we announce something and then you leave it a month for people to vote, then that opens up all sorts of different FUD or speculations and other things, and uncertainty. What you don't really want is uncertainty of what's happening. We went through this with the ASI team in what they did in their merger, and they learn on what's the best ways, how could they improve it, for merging with us. And one of the things that came out of there was just make those decisions quickly once they're decided, then announce it and give everybody solid dates that everything can be kept to. So you don't want dates being pushed back or dates being changed. So there was enough put in there. We've got, if the bet goes ahead, we've kind of not got nearly a month till we actually merge the chain. And there's been a lot of work in the background making sure that technically everything is in place. Communication-wise, everything's in place. So what you don't want is to announce something and then you leave it weeks while people don't know what's happening. It's better to announce something and then let people think about it. And we have, you've announced it, and then there's a week for people to give their views and give feedback and share information, and then people can make the decision on, which way they want to vote on there. So it was planned a lot to try and make sure that we gave everybody that best experience, but without leaving huge amounts of delay between it as well.
Yeah, no, that makes total sense. And in terms of the way that the vote is going to work, will all votes be equal? And how will the votes be weighted differently from CUDOS or from the ASI community? How will that sort of work?
So there's two sets of votes. One is the CUDOS vote and one is the ASI vote. They're completely separate. So ASI community have to vote that they're happy for us to join, and in the CUDOS community have to vote that they're happy for us to join. So they're completely independent, and both need to be a yes for it to go ahead. So every vote is equal on our side. Everyone has an equal vote, just depending on they can choose either way. But yeah, it wouldn't be fair if we had biased votes.
Yeah, because I think that was a concern, but it's good that it's equally weighted and it's just trying to be as fair as possible. So let me look through for some more questions here. When can we expect updates on what you had mentioned previously for the OG holders? You'd mentioned something in Q4. Are you able to give any more information around that or any other details?
At the moment, it's Q4, but we're working on it. So we'll do it sooner rather than later, but we just want to make sure we've got everything right and then be announcing on that side. So we can't give a date yet, but we're working on it.
Yeah, that's fair. And part of the second part of that question is if someone were to, instead of converting, if they were to sell their CUDOS tokens now and then buy FET, would they still be eligible from previously having held CUDOS for so many years or however long, or is it only going to be for people who did hold and then converted through the process that we're going to outline given the merge goes through?
There's two snapshots that are being taken. One that's been taken already, and then one that's been taken as part of the merger. So we'll be using a mixture of those. Also, if you did sell your token out by that, you'd essentially be getting kind of 30-40% discount. Loss of doing it wouldn't make much sense.
Yeah, because the exchange rate now is definitely very favorable to CUDOS holders based on what it previously was. So let me just see if there's any other questions that we've missed. Everyone in the chat, please do send any more questions if there's something that we haven't covered. And again, we do have a FAQ that we shared yesterday that also does cover quite a few questions, but do send any final questions in for us to answer in the next 5 minutes before this AMA is over. So one question in the meantime, is the snapshot only for native coin holders or for all wallets that have any form of CUDOS tokens?
I will need to come back to you on that one.
Yep, no worries. So when we do give the guide and everything, I'm sure we'll address some of these extra questions. I'm just looking through the chat right now to see if there's anything that we've missed. Again, if you're in the chat right now and we have missed your question, please do repost it and we'll try to get to that in the last 5 minutes here. but we have covered quite a bit. I guess in the meantime, we can I'll pose this question. Um, and you've already sort of, answered this a little bit, but just for anyone who's just joining us now, what are some of the main benefits that the Kudos community is going to get out of this merge, given that it goes through as a majority yes?
Okay, yeah. So firstly, we would become part of a much larger community, the ASI community, a great community, very passionate in the same way that we are about democratized access to resources, and the integration really enables us, to accelerate where we are trying to get to as a platform. It secures up additional resources, which is what we've needed to really scale faster. Enables us to, if you look over the next 12, 18 months, enables us to scale quicker in this market as what may be a bull run. Then we can build, we can scale utility, we can scale utilization, and it really kind of secures us as the leading compute platform in the world in the blockchain space, powering the largest AI compute network in the world. So it really kind of just guarantees that ability to growth, and bringing in value of these two ecosystems together, not just from technology, but access to markets, access to supply, access to compute, access to developers. So it kind of really just secures up our ability to grow and get to where we were trying to get to. And as we, like I said, we stay Kudos. It's the token that's merging and the technology that's merging. Everything else is where we were trying to get to in the first place. We're not going to change from that perspective. We don't change our goals. We know that you've supported us, and we'll continue to be working for you to make sure that we get to where we were aiming to get to.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. One person asks, after the swap, given everything goes through, during the 3-month lockup period, will their tokens that are locked up be earning staking rewards on ASI?
The rate is about 7% roughly on ASI at the moment.
Fantastic. Yeah. So to the person who asked that question, yes, you will earn rewards. So you will be good to go. One other person asks, why would you solely go off of the 30-day average for the valuation for the exchange rate? What's sort of the rationale behind that valuation?
Yeah, so we didn't want to take a point in time, because where you're working on an agreement, that point in time can change from one day to another, and it's not great to agree on, because one party is always incentivized to delay or speed up a day. So by taking a 30-day, then that at least gave a good gauge of where we've both been for the last month in the market from a token perspective. If we went back further, I think the ratios didn't change significantly, but you don't want to go back like 12 months or something. You want to do it based on your relatively recent position, and 30 days in the industry is pretty much the norm. So that's why we agreed on that rate.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. So we're pretty much at the end of our time. Is there anything else that you wanted to touch on or say to the community before we end this off?
I would just say, that this really is a big opportunity for us to get to where, as a project, as Kudos, of where we're trying to get to much faster. AI has now become the biggest compute consumer, and the ability that we can just become that AI compute network for the blockchain market is an incredible opportunity. I get people's concerns, but from the valuation and adoption perspective, but we're keeping what we're aiming for. We're keeping our goals, our brand. This kind of guarantees certainty of growth that we can do together as a much larger community access to much more developers. So, we did take a lot of time considering this before we went ahead with the proposal. And we really value, you're obviously passionate because that's why you're here and listening in the first place. And we're passionate as well. So, I appreciate everybody here, their concerns. And, we've made this a vote because we want it to be owned by the community. But internally, we really see the benefits, long term. I believe this is the right decision, but it's open to the community at the end of the day.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you so much. This definitely answers a lot of questions that people had, and I hope that we covered as much as we possibly could. I will put all this together probably in an article to share with everyone in case they missed this or they wanted to review some of the questions and answers again. But again, Matt, thank you so much for coming and shedding a little bit more light on all of these questions that everyone had, and helping inform the community a little bit more about what's going on with the merger.
Okay. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.